Welcome to Healing Generations, a podcast creating a dialogue uplifting the importance of healing, strengthening, and supporting our communities, and that addresses the disparities and inequities in communities of color. Healing Generations is brought to you by the Healing Generations Institute, a collaborative initiative of the National Compadres Network and the Brotherhood of Elders. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on our new releases.
Welcome to the Healing Generation podcast. My name is Ariel Jimenez, and I will be one of your hosts for today. We are excited to continue to have conversations centered on healing with our young folks, and today we have one of our very own to speak on that. His name is Demetrious Quinonez, who currently serves as our Adelante program apprentice, and we'll get to hear his story today. But before I do that, it's always important for us to just start with a little introduction, and I want to pass it over to my co-host, AB. Always an honor to hold space with you, and excited to continue these conversations. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome, Demetrious. It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Alejandro Berensosona. I'm one of your co-hosts of the youth portion of the Healing Generations podcast. So I heard you already know kind of how we do things here, a little conocimiento. Who are you? Where do you come from? So why don't you go ahead and get us started today?
Hello, everybody. My name is Demetrious Quinonez. I'm really excited to be a part of this podcast today. I am basically in this world trying to connect and support other people and being able to be at service to those in need. I'm with NCN, with the Adelante program. I am a formerly incarcerated youth. I just finished doing 7 years, and I've been working on my healing journey. I am the son of Jennifer Quinonez, grandchild of Florencio Quinonez and Lorenzo Quinonez and Petra Quinonez. I hold those family members dearly because those are my relatives that I know. And for the most part, I'm just going through the works of finding a way through how I could provide to the healing journey, because I feel like it's essential in what we need to do, and I love my work and I love what I do.
That's right. I mean, the work loves you too, man. So I want to first start off just by saying welcome home. Good to have you back in community. Good to have you back at home. And I'm thankful that you're on that healing journey, that you're on the healing journey with us. So let me ask you this, right? How'd you get connected to NCN? How was that intersection? How was that introduction? And how'd that get you here?
Well, to open up, to be honest, I was doing therapy and I was doing a lot of my healing process being incarcerated. And I was at the point to where I was getting released and I needed a job. And I'm a college student and I wanted to get into a job that was within my range of what I major in, what I want to do in life. My major sociology. I want to work with kids who are duly in the justice system, or I just want to be a mentor. But my major sociology, so I'm in sociology for child development.
Nice.
I want to give back. I want to be able to, give that childhood I never had to those who are struggling in the system right now. I found my work here because this is what I wanted to do. And a lot of people reached out to me through probation and they were like, hey, we think you're a good fit. And then I got an interview with Mario and David. And I came around to, this idea, everything that was going on within NCN is exactly what I want to do.
That's awesome. Sociology major twins, because that's my major too right now. I'm trying to be a CPS worker. Thank you for sharing what you shared. In your introduction, your conocimiento, you talked about the Adelante program. For those of us who may not really be familiar with what that is or what that consists of, do you mind going over that?
To break down, I feel like in a short summarization, what we have to provide, I think that the Adelante program, we are working through curriculums and helping, provide assistance through helping the trainings for when we go to Oakland or San Jose. I also, participate in circles and get to be a part of trainings and be able to provide my experience and get to learn and get the provided resources and teachings and be able to provide it to others. And we also do a lot of the training preparations as well.
Nice. You said you went through Circle Keeper and Joven Noble, which are both pretty intense trainings. I've been through them myself. It's a lot of self-realization. I remember the first time we did the who are you thing, I was trying not to cry by the end of it. So I was like, okay, stop asking me who I am. It's been 3 minutes now. We can move on. So I want to ask you, how was that experience? Was there something that stuck out to you? Was there something to do with the community that like made you feel like really sold you on like, dang, this is what I want to do?
For Joven Noble, I feel like I was in a room with a bunch of strong energy, like where there was a lot of appreciation for the men in that group, through the women. A lot of the men in there were either from, other organizations that also took in, incarcerated people. So I also connected with other people who were in my situation, and it just felt like we're appreciated, and like, everybody was trying to, comfort, and they wanted to talk to me. So being able to ask who I am, or like going through that in Circle Keepers, I feel like I had to take a step back and like, ask myself who I am. And I got connected with a lot of the warrior women, and it opened my mind up a little bit, because it's like, if they could continue to do this and through the period of time of what they've been through, I know I could do it. So asking who I am, I feel like it just made me question my perspective and step back and just work on me. So I feel like learning these things through the trainings and stuff, I kind of went home a little bit with something to think on and be able to like improve on.
Yeah, just to give a little bit of background, when he got certified in Joven Noble, it was 75% men, which is unheard of in our training. And the majority of those men were formerly incarcerated community workers that are working with youth who are just as impacted, right? So it was very masculine energy in the room. And they did a good job of taking care of each other. And then the Circle Keeper training, our women warriors showed up. And the majority of the folks were our mujeres that always do beautiful work in the community and always show up in such a beautiful and powerful way. So he got to see a little bit of the both. And actually, he just finished that training yesterday. So it's like fresh.
Oh, it's fresh.
It is fresh. So let me ask you this as a follow-up. You finished the training yesterday. Maestro Jaime always says you need to let the bread bake. You need to sit with the teachings. You need to go home. You need to sleep on them. And then something will come to you. As you were resting yesterday and as you woke up this morning, what part of the training was most connecting with you presently?
I feel like mostly what stuck with me was not just what, but like who I am, that part. And majority of the training, I think I was more focused on connecting with the community. And like when we got to that piece of where we're sharing our items that were from our relatives, what this meant, and like everybody shared what that meant to them, but it wasn't like, here's an item that was my grandpa's. Like when they were sharing their story, it felt like I was there with them. Like, I could relate, because it was like, I didn't bring nothing, but I brought a picture of my dad, and I shared what he meant to me, and I shared how much he cared and how he was a provider and things like that. And everybody was just like, they could relate. And that just brought me to a realization, is that when a gathering of healers who want that, and it's like we were healing each other, because everybody in that circle had good feedback. Everybody had a warmth, and I understand you, it's, it was just all love in that room. Good energy, a lot of good things. So I connected a lot.
That's the age-old question, who heals the healer, So I think that's awesome. Joven Noble was like fun, and then Circle Keeper like cut me deep, like I remember the last day we did the web discussion, where it's like, okay, what's one word that you've been told in your community? And we're each holding a piece of string with a picture in the middle. And each word that's released, the picture's slowly sinking more and more. And I think that one hits a little deeper for me, because I know the guys in the picture, those are my uncles, those are my aunts, that's my dad, And so I feel like words like, you're not going to be anything, you're nothing, you're worthless, like that's things our young men hear every day in the community growing up. So I want to kind of connect that back to, how you felt growing up. Did you hear words of discouragement, words of you're not enough, and how did you overcome that?
To be honest, I grew up in the foster system at a very young age. I was in the foster system from probably to 11 to 16 until I went to prison. And I don't think I started finally accepting that. And I didn't think I started healing until I started wanting that for myself. And what it looked like was that I no longer, like, had the resentment, or nobody was holding me back. I was holding myself back, and I just needed to use all of that, what they were telling me, and use it as motivation. Because not everything is negative feedback. You only choose to let it be negative feedback. You could use it as positivity as well. And so I started to gather that information from whoever, and then I used that to pave my way to a better future for myself, and a better healing journey for myself. Because if I wasn't healing, if I didn't forgive myself, I couldn't forgive others. And so I slowly started to forgive myself so I could start forgiving others. And I let that part of me go.
You talked about paving the way. And I think, the foster care system, there's a lot of things within that system that we still need to fix. And there's also some things about that system then that connects you to other people that normally wouldn't be part of your life journey, right? Whether that might be service providers, whether that might be someone that you might be temporarily housed with, whether that might be someone else within the system trying to survive the system with you. But you talked about paving your own way in that journey. Is there a person that helped you pave that way to where you are now? Like someone that you want to give flowers to, that you want to uplift, that helped you in your journey, whether that was like sending you love, whether that was supporting you, whether that was lacing you up, giving you teachings? Who's someone within your journey that helped you pave that way?
Usually most people say relatives, distantly, like, me and my mom, we grew apart, and like, we paved our own ways. And it's just like, I love my mom dearly, and I know I could say that she's been there partially, but I give my mom I give my mom still her flowers, but I would like to give like my PO, like my probation officer. You don't meet genuine people in the juvenile system. You don't meet genuine people who are trying to help you. They're holding you accountable. They're not here to hold your hand and make sure you're successful, and my POC did that, when I was doing X, Y, and Z, struggling with my mental health, struggling, to find my way. She stuck by my side. And even when I was down, and, everybody says they rather have a good friend who's always going to be there. And even though if they're, holding you down, like, I'd rather have a respective critic and a friend, like, a supportive person who's going to hold me accountable and want me to do good, and still here to this day and continue to be there. This is one thing I could share, is that she's told me if I'm not your probation officer at one day, and one day later on, it's because I did a lot for you, that I made a lot of people mad, because I'm invested. And a lot of the probation and people who are working the juvenile system, or the system at that, they're not heavily invested. That's why people don't stay in the same spot as long. And I told her, I appreciate you. I see you.
That's a trip. Because when you think of probation officers, a lot of people don't think about people within the system trying to change the system. And I think what you just highlighted right there is important. Me supporting you is going to make a lot of people mad. Because sometimes our POs are not there necessarily to support us. They're there to hold us accountable, like you said. But accountability within the system means punishment, not healing. So I love that you got this probation officer, that you're blessed to have that person connected with you. Is there one thing that person has done that has helped you in that healing journey that you just want to name?
She's slowly starting to understand and like help the healing between me and my mom. But she does partake in like some of the mental stability and like some awareness to healing.
Beautiful.
Thank you for sharing. I feel like we touched on a lot of heavy subjects like mental health, like how I was being incarcerated. I think it's beautiful, the story you told about your PO. But I want to, lighten the mood a little bit. And we're going to talk about your summer internship. I always have like that older sibling feel towards the new people summer internships, because mine was breaking down desk, like doing all the work so the office looks how it looks now, and then I hear like, you guys are going on field trips, you guys are doing hikes, and I'm like, Ariel, I feel like me and Christian deserve a do-over. That's besides the point. So I want to hear from you, like, what were some of your favorite memories from your summer internship?
I love that we were like able to like transition in some of the like the teachings with the younger fellows, and like it was nice knowing that I was transitioning into NCN myself. So, being in the same like room with younger fellows and being treated the same, and we're all equally as noticed. Like I was transitioning in and I didn't know what to expect. And, my first couple of weeks, it was like, breaking down desks and boxes and moving things. And to this day, I still have, like, most of the young fellows that I connected with, check in with me, or I check in with them. Like, how you doing, sis? Or how you doing? In a way, they like kind of showed me that, when we open up circle, we begin to adjust the four directions. And what we say about the children is that they bring that happiness to us, that light to not take things so serious. And, like I see a lot of my years that I didn't spend with my little brother and, some of the fellows. And it just connected me a lot. And I spent time with my younger brothers and sisters during the summer. That's how it felt. And being able to open up doors.
That office is one of the funniest offices I've ever been a part of. There's not a moment where someone isn't laughing, or, you hear cackling coming from Mario's office across like 20 feet. And then you hear, Citlatli and Caitlin acting like little squirrels in the corner. So I want to ask you, do you have a story where you're like, damn, like that was funny, like what's a funny story from the office you have?
In the beginning, me and Caitlin, we always ran into each other at like these weird moments to where like we would scare each other, and then it became like we were scaring each other. So I went to the parking lot to go to the to UPS. I seen Caitlin's car, and I seen Caitlin walking like she was facing her door, like getting out of her car. And right when she turned around, like I was like, bah, and like it wasn't Caitlin. It wasn't Caitlin, and it was a woman who worked in the office, and she got scared. And I was like, oh my God, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I thought you were my coworker. You probably think I'm crazy. I'm like, I apologize. And she's like, oh my God, you're fine. You made my day. I was having a horrible day anyways. And I was like, oh, I'm glad. I'm like, I apologize. You have a good day. And so I went upstairs when I came back from UPS, and I was talking to Caitlin, and I was like, Caitlin, I just had this encounter with this woman, and I thought it was you, so I scared her. And she was like, oh my God.
Demetrious out here just scaring random people at our office, man. That's don't worry. We've had everything in between, man. You just reminded me of one of our fellows back pre-pandemic, Chris Andres, who decided to get fake cockroaches and hide them all over the office. We still found one a couple months ago. So I got to send him a message. AB, just to let you know, Demetrious got a little bit of yours and Kristen's experience, and then also some new experiences, right? Because he was the first fellow for this summer through the Adelante program before we got our Foothill fellows transitioning in. So he was doing the posters by himself, helping build desks, tear down desks, do all that stuff. And then the fellows came in, and then the fellows were a mix, right? He still got to kick it with Angel Diaz, with David Soriano, because they were part of this last cohort.
Yeah.
So he got a little bit of mix. But Demetrious, let me ask you, the summer internship, you got the full gauntlet. You got the office work. You got the prepping for trainings. You got to attend trainings. You got to visit field trips like SF State, hit the pier. We did Advanced Joven Noble. You got to do the mascaras, the necklaces. You got kind of like the full gauntlet of it all. Circle, fun, office work, training. What is one of the highlights for the summer for you?
Every time we grounded in any spot that summer, it was always like in a peaceful place, and it just felt comfortable, like being around. I felt like I was around family, and I developed that warmth. And the field trips that we're taking, the circles that we're holding, it was overwhelmingly exciting. It was just like I just got out, and I'm a people person, and the love that NCN had opened up to me when I came through the summer, it just opened my eyes that to like I love these field trips. I love the circles. I love talking to these people, and I opened up, and the field trips helped me open up. It was eye-opening for me because I realized I could this is something I could see myself doing every day in the future, you know. Yannick from Warrior Woman, she had pulled me to the side and she was talking to me. She said, "What do you see yourself doing in the future? What do you see yourself doing with school?" And I told her, like, I'm exactly where I want to be right now, you know. And you know, later on, the future is untold, but guiding myself through life, I feel like, you know, the beginning of my summer started with like more of a healing than me just readjusting to life.
That's a beautiful response. I want to go back to something you said about the grounding. You know, I feel like if every person in life had a couple minutes to ground themselves wherever they went, people would just have so much more patience. Because, like, who can say, like, they go into work and their boss is telling them, take a moment for yourself, take a moment to feel peace, take a moment to feel like you belong here, you know? So I feel like that's a beautiful thing that you pointed out. I'm going to switch it up a bit. Ariel, I know I'm kind of jumping way ahead, but I'm really curious to know. This is my favorite question to ask. And if you heard the podcast, you know what my question is. I'm still waiting for my t-shirt, Ariel. I ask it every single podcast. And the question is, if you had a microphone and a stage, and this microphone, the whole world could hear what you're about to say, what is one issue that you would like to lift up?
One issue that I would like to bring up is the status of mid-class, poor, you know, financially supported. I feel like when we begin to actually be open to like equality, we don't believe in that. We don't, it's not, when we say equality and we look at it as, oh, we're doing 50-50. In life, it's not 50-50. It's, you know, it's never down the middle. I think the way that the economy is going, it's a power toggle. It's not what the people want. I would speak up on like, where does the money go for taxes? Why are we not supporting EBT and those people who can't afford groceries or support housing, who don't have, you know, the things that they need, essential. Like, I would speak on that, you know. So I would speak up on where our fundings are going, for where are we putting our money into?
Yeah, that's funny that you say that. I wasn't expecting you to say that, to be honest. But one of the things that you brought up, I was in a meeting yesterday with folks from the state and folks from the university, UCLA or YCR. And we're talking about transforming the system. And in that conversation, Baba Quigley says, you could transform the system all you want, but if you don't address the issues of inequality and poverty, the system will rebuild itself. And that was powerful, because until you talk about the inequalities and until you talk about poverty and until you talk about the issues that you brought up, it's just going to rise up in a different way in the future. And what resonated with me, immigration is not an issue when people are coming from Europe, but it becomes an issue when people are coming from Guatemala, from El Salvador, from Mexico, right? Drugs is not an issue when you're talking about the Rose Garden, because they got counseling and they got drug addiction programs, stuff like that. But when it's coming from the east side, then it's different. Even the naming of it, marijuana versus cannabis. The cannabis business sounds more English, more Western. Oh, that's the issue of marijuana that's coming illegally, right? The inequalities of how things are just put out there. But I never made the connection between inequality and healing. That tripped me up. So let me ask you, you said you're on your healing journey. You talked about groundings. You talked about the 4 directions. For someone that might not be connected to healing, how do you define healing for yourself? How do you define healing within your own journey?
I don't think nobody really talks about childhood trauma, about the things that they've been through, you know, because who wants to reveal their true self? When we do Mascara, like, I get these glimpses of understanding of things, like, you know, during Circle Keepers and we're sharing our stories, it clicked. We're healing each other. We're opening up a safe space so we could be able to develop some type of understanding. And I mean, in my perspective, I gained a lot. And I feel like healing for me was loving myself, accepting therapy, you know, those who want to help me, you know, instead of Hey, brother, are you feeling good? You want to smoke? You want something to drink? You want to go party? Let's go take this drive. I had people coming
Mm-hmm.
to me who asked me for help, who want to help me. Healing for me, that is healing. Like, going to therapy, opening up, finding a deeper rooting to my childhood trauma, and getting the help I need to be able to help the people who do need.
And I think that's one of the things, right? Like, we can't look towards the future if we're not willing to face our past. And a lot of the healing comes from that, whether it's good or bad, whether it's experiences that we've never been able to talk about, but maybe now we could think about, maybe now we can process. So I think that that's important that we do that. Now, the other side of healing too, though, I'm thinking about one of my mentors, Ozzy Cruz, that says there's also healing in laughter. There's also healing in joking around and sharing space. There's that deep side, that heavy side that you need to face and go into, and that dark side, that shadow side. But then there's also that light side. Can we share a story? Can we joke around? Can we sit around the fire? Not with alcohol, but with each other's stories. So thinking about that, thinking about your future, thinking about what motivates you, what's one thing that you're looking forward to in the near future that just brings a smile to your face?
I recently just came up on, and I know I shared it with you, Ariel, but I finished applying for my last semester for community college, and
Nice.
next semester is my last semester to get my AA.
That's right.
And it brings me to smile and sometimes be overjoyed and tearful when I have the experience of being able to put in 4 applications to go to, CSUs, the UCs. Is because, growing up, I always talked about it, but I never really got to put in that work, and I never really got to sit down and be interested in my education. And I could say that I'm really proud of myself because, I didn't see myself doing this at 23. And when a lot of people come up to me and they tell me in the groups and the trainings, like, mijo, like, I wish I was 23 and I had what you had, and you're doing everything that,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just shocked because it's just like, I thought 23-year-olds were supposed to do this at 23, responsibilities, go to college, work on getting a car, work on your credit. That's something I'm proud of because I didn't see myself doing that in the future. I learned to, accept the negative and not focus on the positive. That's what I thought until I spoke to a genuine person, which is also my mentor, Jimmy Yang. Louis shared him in his Circle Keeper, and I'll throw him into this. And I'd like to say, like, I really appreciated him because he changed my whole perspective, I found a deeper meaning of what I wanted to do.
And let me say this right before we move on, that I'm proud of you. I see you come into the office, man, and you're a hard worker, and you're respectful, and you carry yourself with so much grace, regardless of how this world has treated you in the past. And I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of the things that you've done to accomplish what you've done, not only in school, but in your personal journey, in your connection to your mom, your connection to everybody, man. And I just want to say before anything else, I'm proud of you. You deserve all that. And I can't wait to see where you go from here, man. Got a lot of love for you.
Thank you, Ariel.
But I think taking from this podcast, the one thing that I'm going to take away is that you scared a random lady in the parking lot.
Yup.
I didn't hear that story.
That's all that's
before.
going through my head right now.
So I'm going to take that away, but I appreciate you, brother.
One, I would like to say congratulations on my end too. That's awesome. That's an amazing thing to be proud of. Getting your AA is crazy, dude. That's phenomenal. And I know you're going to go all the way for that bachelor's. I'll start with you, Demetrious. You have any final words you would like to share with our audience? And then we'll go on to Ariel.
I just want to say that, for a deeper meaning in life, you got to search within yourself before you can move any further steps. Know yourself before you try to know others, because I think I've said it before. What rooted me was finding out who I am and what I wanted to be in order for me to be at service and be able to help others, I love the work at NCN. I love the people around me, have always been welcomed, and I've always felt welcome. And I feel like, with my background, I was never judged, it was all loved. And, I just want to say that, I really appreciate NCN for, having me and being able to, host this.
Thank you. Ariel?
Yeah, I think for me, the thing that resonated with me the most, and we didn't even dive into it, but you said something powerful in one sentence that says, forgiving yourself is forgiving others. And I got to work on that. I'm good at forgiving others, but I struggle at forgiving myself. So I got some homework to do. But thank you for today's conversation, man. I really appreciate it.
Big thank you to you, Demetrious, for being with us today, for being, vulnerable enough to tell your story. I know it's going to touch a lot of people out there. A lot of our youth are going through similar instances as you are. Always a big thank you to Big Dog Ariel for holding it down with me. Appreciate you, man. I do want to touch base on something, which is why I asked to close. I do know about the SNAP and EBT being removed, and I just want to shout out a couple places in the Bay Area that are still offering free food to people. In Gilroy, in that Morgan Hill area, we have like High Almighty Pizza, Barbecue 152 that are doing free meals for students. You just show your SNAP, and then parents, you get $5 items there too. I know a lot of Jamba Juice places are doing it. Gavilan College, Salvation Army. Those are some places in Gilroy and San Jose. Santa Maria and Urban Ministries handing out food. Evergreen Valley College is handing out food. Evergreen Islamic Center is handing out food. So I know it may seem like life is real tough right now. Life is real scary. But you got those places out there that want to help take care of you. So take advantage of it. As always, it's a pleasure being here with you all today. You can follow us at La Cultura Cura on Instagram and National Compadres Network on Facebook. And I am excited to see you all next time. Thank you.
For more information about Healing Generations and the Healing Generations Institute, visit nationalcompadresnetwork.org and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our new releases.